locks you to the floor, waiting for an open door. The clock is ticking, make your move. Here's your signal, time to prove. Can you hear me now? 'Cause I'm shouting through the noise. Can you hear me now? It's time to make a choice. Break the chains and rush the gates. Hurry before it's too late.
It's the circuit with the highest altitude in all of the world. And so critical is it today, the battle that will be on here in the Porsche Esports Supercup regionals here. The Americas region takes its place with the brothers Hermanos Rodriguez as we get ourselves ready for round two and a chance to really start elevating the point structure, getting your top 8 place booked. So you're in Porsche Esports Supercup proper. Unfortunately, it's a very poorly Jake Sperry here with you today. Kenneth Bueno is alongside with me for today's company. KB, we are in for an absolute treat's worth of running. This Americas region has been a starlet every single time it's gone out there to go and showcase. And after Sebring, it's going to be one of those of saying, right, we've done the lumps and bumps, now let's try and play without power.
I know July 4th was not that long ago, Jake, but it was a fireworks show at Sebring in Florida. And here we are, Mexico City, Autodromo and Hermanos Rodriguez. Similar structure to Sebring in a very flat racetrack, but also very technical. That proved to be very challenging for plenty of the drivers in round number 1. Here in round number 2, though, we're getting across the near halfway marker of the regionals. So it's going to be the time for a lot of drivers to step up here.
Absolutely, and so in order to do that, you've got to know what the rules of engagement are. It's coming up for you right now in the form of this format video.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are 2 ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
I'd say after Sebring, it was a handful of drivers, but not a handful of others. A very busy lap 1, Kenneth, which started off very nicely at turn 1. By the time they got to turn 4, though, Hadinoa Memasi, the big loser, as they went through 3, 4, and into 5. He tangled with Mitchell de Jong.
And getting right into the guardrails, but that was sort of the staple of the entire first segment of the opening race for this Americas Regional. You see a couple others, Victor Veloso being around. Those turned on the back straight away. And we had plenty of great battles, but lots of physicality. Sebring is a very narrow racetrack at times. It opens up in the back sector with all of that runoff, but you have the grass everywhere. So the challenging nature, the bumps here. See a couple of drivers also getting into it. Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez getting involved in a hard hit to the inside wall. Plenty of drivers got caught out on the back foot very early. But the key to this, Jake, was the battling. We still had a lot of great mid-pack battles, drivers diving to the inside. They know how important top 8 placement is. They wanted to get that good foot off in round number 1, and that involved trying to get every single position you could. Even if it was in the mid-pack, drivers are trying their hardest, and it was a fun show.
Top 8 in race is one thing, top 5 in qualifying is another, because those points are going to add up as well, and the battle's really important as far as they went. The likes of Mitchell de Jong still having to fight. Sean Campbell, for example, having a good day at the office, but they couldn't stop these two at the front, Elvis Rankin, and critically, you couldn't stop the likes of Xander Reed. We find ourselves here at Mexico City. They know they've got Watkins Glen, Miami, and Interlagos to come around. Three incredibly different styles of circuit to come up to finish here, Kenneth.
And Jake, also making it 3 tracks out of this America schedule that are relatively flat and have high curbing. Sebring is one of those difficult ones, lots of bumps to make up for the flat of the curves. Mexico City's on the other end of it. The curbs are very high. You have to attack them. You do have to be very careful. And when we go to Miami International Autodrome around Hard Rock Stadium on August 8th, that also is going to be a similar racetrack. Watkins Glen and Interlagos are going to be the key tracks for me, Jake, because you have all that elevation that plays such a factor into it between going up the S's in New York and then, of course, at Interlagos going down to the Senna S's. It's going to be great. It's a great schedule, 3 of them in the United States and 1 in Mexico, this being the one today.
Yeah, and so we are going to be seeing here a lot of understanding of what we've got to deal with. But Kenneth, let's talk about the windswept victories of what we saw in the Panhandle of America over in Florida, because ultimately, Coanda Esports turned up to the party, they came to play, and they've put their chips on the table and said, deal me in.
Yeah, they have the largest amount of entrants in the entire regionals across all 4 of the regions, and they led 90 minutes in 3 of the 4 regions across Americas, Europe, and Asia Pacific, all of them winning races there. And I've talked about other teams that so far have spoken of having to figure out what they're doing in terms of trying to dethrone the purple and orange. Right now, they're the team to beat. They have been the overall dominant force. We saw that a ton in the Americas region around what it's Sebring, between Xander Reed and a few others. So make no mistake, they are here to show up. They are a very esteemed team. They've been at the top level of this Porsche Esports Super Cup before. Not surprising that they are as strong as a force as they are, Jake, but again, a new round is a new round. So any moment could be the changing situation for other teams to make a step up to the plate.
And it's one thing to talk, the main players of the game, but we do love a good underdog, but it seemed to be pretty much the status quo for the opening round. So the question's going to be, who has to dust themselves off?
Well, a few drivers do, and that's 4 of them that I'm looking at specifically. Ralph Benitez, the Dantas brothers, Flavio and Felipe, and even William Augustine. Those drivers all finished 16th or worse in the opening round at Sebring, and like the highlight package showed you, a lot of it was because of the chaos that ensued in the first few laps of the race. So it's going to be critical for them not only to have a clean lap 1 here at Mexico City, but to follow that up and bring in some momentum into what is a relatively short season. Again, only 5 races in these regionals to make a top 8 placement. Out of 32 drivers in the America region, that's hard to make a difference and be a top dog in this group. So those drivers and many others who've had some points fallouts in round number 1 really need to have their get-back moment this afternoon here in Mexico.
Well, you've also got to keep in mind that this is a very unique circuit on the iRacing calendar and very unique in the world of motorsports itself. And so you have to deal with the question of who is going to turn up to the nosebleed seats and get themselves a little bit of altitude sickness.
Well, the reason we're talking about that, Jake, is because while this track doesn't have elevation change in the turns, it has elevation change in the entire track itself. I'm talking 2,238 meters. That equates to 7,343 feet above sea level. So usually the higher altitudes means the cars can't take in as much air as they usually do. Usually means less horsepower output, so they're not as powerful. And that may mean, even on the longer straights, drivers still have to hustle these cars around a little more just to extract a little bit of time they need to make fast lap time and, of course, be at the top of the field by the time this race is over. So altitude sickness is going to be a big one here in Mexico.
Very much has been and always will be. Let's take a look at your Loctite race analysis here. Half an hour's worth of racing to get in on your Saturday as we have a standing start. There are no planned stops for anyone. Top 8 in the region move on to the World Championship and fight with one of the 32 best that the world has to offer. Half an hour sprint, but not pure sprint. It's one of those where you stay, it's sprint-esque in terms of how you go forward.
And it does feel that way, but it is still a relatively long race. So you do have enough time to figure out the tire situation, figure out how your car setup is feeling, and then, of course, try to make a difference out there on the racetrack. So I think it's the sweet spot, Jake, where you don't have too much time to kind of think too much, but you also have enough time to flesh out a full race, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Let's see how they walk into today. Qualifying points from today not yet applied. Xander Reed 60 out of 60 with Elvis Rankin 7 back. Gabriel Moretto looked really good last time out. He's currently third in the championship with Gustavo Ariel and Sean Campbell. Dalton Zavadil is currently your mark to keep an eye out on here in 8th place with Fidel Moreira and Dino Filippa, your top 10. There are a number of drivers here, KB, that want to try and charge up.
Yeah, a ton of drivers who didn't have the best round one at Sebring, so they do have to pick themselves up. And what a track they can do it at. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez en la Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City. 2.67 miles equates to 4.3 kilometers, and it's a 17-turn clockwise Grand Prix circuit course that goes through the stadium in Fora del Sol. And later on in the back half of the circuit, opened back in November of 1959, has hosted plenty of high-profile races. Formula One comes here for the Mexico Grand Prix. Also had some stock cars here in 2025, so putting some Porsche Cup cars here on this track on one of the newer venues on the iRacing service. It's great.
Absolutely is. That, of course, your track analysis brought to you by TDK. It is in everything better, as is your TDK pole lap on board with Mitchell de Jong, the #1 out there overall. Long straight that lisks over to the left-hand side, but you've got to get yourself then along the Moises Solana, this main straight, over to turns 1, 2, and 3. You've got to pick the zone early, picture it in through turn 1, and then 2 and 3. It's all about getting the exit off of the exit. The Temecula kid finding out what he needs as he goes along the Transera over to turns 4 and 5.
And Jake, the big thing about Sector 1 is all of these 90-degree corners and the curves. You can attack them with this Porsche 9922 Cup car. So you see there, De Jong gets right up to the curb, tries to fight it as much as he can, then through Orgia, which is the pair of right-handers, taking you through the S's. Probably the most rhythm part of this sector here in Mexico City, and probably my favorite part about the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. You kick into this left curb, try to hang right as much as you can, then off the brakes a little bit there through this left-hander, and then try to attack. Early braking, right hand here, go punching straight through the gas pedal. Maybe use a bit of the runoff if you do through the right, or the red and white curbing there on the right side, then hang it all the way to the left before you get to the Recta del Ovalo into Foro Sol, the stadium section of Mexico City. Bam, right on the curb, let the car bounce, take it out to the wide, and then try to be hard on the brakes. We're going to see a lot of drivers try to make passes there, and then through here, it's just rhythm. Hang to the left side of the track, stay away from those curbs and the tire barrels, and then just hang it through Peraltada, the oval part of the circuit here at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. A beautiful lap for Mitchell de Jong to be in the top spot.
140.025, the mark there, and a 1-2 in qualifying, because critically, he's got the championship leader directly alongside him for this one, which will be Xander Reed. Then on that front row, then in that position. There are your points as they work on through, but let's get ourselves ready then for this grid, because Mitchell de Jong knows he has got the control of this one with Xander Reed alongside for company. He will then note that as far as this one goes alongside, he'll be keeping a very, very close eye on the likes of Miguel Costa, who will be in third position, and Gabriel Moretto, after his third place, will be in then fourth. Sean Campbell will be the last one to score points. He'll pick up 2 for his troubles then, a 5th place in qualifying. As we take a look at that grid, de Jong, Reed, Costa, Moretto, Campbell, your top 5. Campbell's teammate, Hadi Noah Memasi, in 6th position with Gustavo Ariel back in 7th. Ralph Benitez, he needed that one, Kenneth, in 8th.
And he did. And then in row number 5, Agustin Tolaski, another driver for TC Esports who needs a pick back up off of Sebring. Fidel Moreira for the Hardline Racing team wraps up the top 10. Noah Wing on the inside of row 6. Felipe Juliato for Full-Time Esports is 12th. Neto Nascimento made a lot of headlines at Sebring. Great battles in the mid-pack. He's going to try to get a better finishing position from 13th today. And Dino Filippa in the SDR Sim Racing number 8 is 14th. Francisco Camilo for Capybara Racing Team. He's inside of the row 8 with Felipe Dantas for Sabia Racing, one of the few Dantas brothers. Needs to get it going today.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of busy drivers with the 24 hours of Spa happening in coordination with today. Eric Goldner and Leandro Lanzendorf there as we go through. But we got the green flag. It's already come and gone, so we've got to get ourselves over to it now as the start has now got itself underway. Mitchell de Jong with a lovely clean launch as he's got himself forward. Then Zander Reed alongside the company. Ariel is already looking to try and pivot and posture. The top 6 all got clear with everything that they wanted and then some. Here's the launch then into the Moises Solana for the first time. There's 2 wides, there's 3 wides as they now look to work through. Big trouble, Moretto is around. Ariel's caught up. One of the grid and go cars caught in this one as well. Huge accident to start.
And just like round number 1, we have chaos in the first few turns. Many drivers spun around, big time damage. They are still crashing back there. Gabriel Moretto, a hard hit to the inside wall. The Blur Mercure Esports car is in trouble very early on in Mexico City. We did not see that at Sebring. He kept up a top 5, and now everyone finding trouble as the circuit is narrowed up through Horquilla.
He bounced off of Miguel Costa. That was the key to the incident, and everybody else then had to scatter. It's created the top 3 to break away. Campbell 4th, Benitez 5th. Noah Wing started 11th, he's now 6th. Talashi is 7th, and Nascimento up into your top 8. We talk about how this is a game of winners and losers, about who's going to find a way to jump up and gain opportunities out there. There's Bill, look how that, it's way too aggressive down to the inside there. Dino Felipa and Leandro Lanzendorf picks up it on Francisco Camillo. Camillo nowhere to go. You've just got to be uber switched on. And Elvis Rankin from nowhere is climbing this ladder out of the pit of a 27th. Couldn't get a lap done in quali.
You can tell, Jake, that he really wants to get out of what we call kind of the hornet's nest, the mid-pack of this group. That's where all the trouble surfaced at Sebring just a few weeks ago, so Rankin knows he wants to be as far away from all of this extracurricular activity as possible, and knowing that his teammates are up there as well, Rankin is still part of the Coanda group, so far it's still a success as the car gets turned around right behind him. That's Bruno De Carmo, the bright purple Porsche 9922 Cup car, right into the grass off of the corners at SS Moises Solana, and that's going to be big time trouble for the 24 car.
How on earth that hit nobody else out there? I have no idea. Bruno De Carmo just missing an absolutely huge incident at the Moises Solana. But this is your field at the front. De Jong leading, Zander Reed in second. A tale when it came to Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America. That was pretty much a tale as old as time. We'll take a look back at what happened at turn 1. It was Miguel Costa that's the big focus here, along with Gabriel Moretto diving down into the opening corners. And the key there is going to be that you bounce one, and ultimately everything just scatters, and very much it's everyone into the blender.
And it's a half and half there for Moretto there. He not only bounced off of the car on his outside there off turn 1, but it's because he hit the curb, so the car just oscillated. He hit it the wrong way, and we talked about that through qualifying, how it's important to attack the curbs for fast lap time. It's the same here in the race, Jake, but you do have to pinpoint it very accurately, because if you hit the curbs in the wrong way with this car, it's going to bounce all over the place. You're going to lose so much time on the exit. So for Gabriel Moretto, it felt like he thought he was going to have the curb right. He did not. Car bounced around and then went for the spin. We didn't even talk about the second part of the incident where he bounced off another car and went hard into the inside wall, leaving him out of this race very early.
Yeah, very easy to go wrong. They fan out then through the Moises Solana as it's Torlashi for Thibaut Courtois Esports. It's Noah Wing there from the United States. It's Neto Nascimento there in 8th place, thinking, boy, am I going to be happy with a huge amount of points out there. Everyone knows how critical it's going to be as they work hard then through the net, left and right, as they go through 4 and 5. Now the Horquilla turn here, which is cut slightly as you go through. It's not a traditional hairpin. It's one where you've got to diamond off the apex, work yourself now to the S's. There used to be more S's in this section back in the old days than what they have now, but the way it's cut, it's basically S's part 1 and this big right-hander, S's part 2.
And I love the S's because it really shows you the technical skill, Jake, of any sort of driver and how good they can be through that part. I mean, that's a big difference between losing maybe and gaining a full second on a driver that's either in front of you or behind you entering the stadium photo sold section. I mean, you do have to get that very accurately. You miss one corner there, you're going to miss the rest of the rhythm section, and it's going to throw you off for a whirlwind. So it's great to see that the drivers are getting that experience first few laps, a lot of it single file, and already a great start for Agustin Torlassi with the way that he's been able to pick up points after he lost plenty in Sebring in round number 1. And then there's Gabriel Moreno right in the middle of the pack, a hard hit to the inside wall, and that car is toast.
Well, that would indicate to me a very, very foolish moment there for Gabriel Moretto. You get the desperation, Kenneth, of I've got to drive this car back because it saves me tow time from towing the car off. But if you know your car's damaged and it can't steer, what's the point of driving and putting another driver's race in jeopardy? The race control stewards will take a very dim look at that, and there might be a very big points deduction for it.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, it's that kind of heat-in-the-moment situation, right? You're thinking, I need to just hustle this thing to the other side of the circuit and come back down pit road and then get it all fixed. And you feel like you believe in yourself that you can get that car rolling without any sort of trouble. But when that car can't steer, you put enough power in it and it's going to go awry, especially when all the downforce has been damaged. And basically any sort of aerodynamic effect you can gather with this car in a natural state is going to be very gone very quickly. So for Moreno there, I mean, that's just the hope of a driver to make it back so he doesn't lose more time and position. But again, at the end of the day, just a hard hit for the 6 car. And we talked about good points for him in round 1. Full opposite here in Mexico City round 2.
Yeah, so very, very tough. We focus on this group right now of Rankin, Camillo, and Dino Filippo. You've got Felipe Dantas, Eric Goldner, and then on the back, 15th place, 1 point right now here, Kenneth, Gustavo Ariel, who is fighting back pretty much rock climber style. It's fingernails.
Yeah, and he barely picked up any damage from the opening lap scuffle there in turn number 1, so he was thankfully able to escape that without much damage and much harm. For Ariel, though, he's down in 15th, and we talked about at Sebring, very tough it was to gain any sort of track position. You probably gained 1 or 2 over the course of the 30-minute race. Here at Autodromo Hermano Rodriguez, it's almost the same in the sense that it narrows up very quickly. Gonna be hard to try and find track position out there. So you got a good look on Dino Filippo, the 8 car for SDR Sim Racing. Very not hard, Jake, to miss this car. Bright pink, beautiful look here through Moises Solana and through this recta trancera into Ese del Lago.
Ese del Lago, a key secondary place to go and make these passes. And so if you can't get it done on the main straight, then you've got to look at this as the next port of call. And so again, Dino Filippo having a look, but it is incredibly technical for what this section down on the south side of the circuit gives you. You've got to race your way back up here on a circuit without too much there in terms of elevation change to help you, so you've got to work. There's your leader, Mitchell de Jong. He's not having everything his own way, though, because he realises and understands that's Zander Reed. Zander Reed, when it came to Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America, Mitchell de Jong won 5 races, right, Kenneth? On 4 occasions, the guy behind him was second.
Yep, and I mean, that's been the case for Honda Esports throughout a lot of their history, and just how competitive these drivers are and how they are so often to not take no for an answer when it comes to racing. Super competitive, even among teammates. And remember, de Jong is kind of at the back end of this top 8 right now in points after round number 1. It wasn't the exact star-studded moment we were maybe expecting out of de Jong, especially compared to some of his teammates, and the max amount of points that Zander Reed had for not only pole, but also the win in that race. So de Jong, in a way, thinks today is his get-back moment to squeeze up, get himself into the top 4, and maybe be a little more comfortable in that top 8 as Ariel continues to hunt down drivers in the field.
Ariel is eyeing up another pass, and he's been doing this since he is 4 years old. Gustavo Ariel, another one, as DJ Khaled would have said. He gets another pass to go and get that move, and this is a guy who has got the best iRacing in Brazil. It's over 12,000. He's number 3 in the world if you're talking pure ELO. He's had 4 wins in the Porsche Esports Supercup, and he knows he's just got to get there. It's by any means necessary, and right now it's find a pass every lap.
I know what's fun, Jake, about this specific format, how things have changed for the Porsche Esports Super Cup, is you just had a general qualifying series before that. So you had all of the best drivers already mixed in to a group where they were competing against each other, but you've separated some of the best drivers in different regions. So Americas has a few, but Europe has many. We have some in Asia Pacific with Cooper Webster, defending series champion, and a lot of other drivers that are just not racing against each other until they can, if they do, qualify for the Esports Super Cup World Championship later this year. So, I mean, that's been fun to watch, how they've taken on this different challenge in this brand new format. We've got great battles in the middle of this pack. Felipe Pujol Dantas, he didn't have a great finish in Sebring. Round number 1 finished in 19th, or rather 25th place at Sebring.
That's the car around. It's Francisco Camillo on the exit then of the baseball stadium and over to the Peraltada. He was there and he's just dropped it all on his merry lonesome with Dino Filippo behind. He was way out on the left-hand side over the curbing, and ultimately that little lack of grip has bitten, and that is what we would call in the business a strike.
Yep, it was a pure slide out of Francisco Camilo there, back to 24th after that slide near the final corner, and that was because he had hit the prior curve a little bit too hard. The car just stepped out from underneath him. He tried to save it into the braking zone heading into Peratada, but he just couldn't get done. And more battles through the field, cars on the inside, and a 3-car train not letting each other get away at all. Great battle in the top 15.
I think that was William Augustine there in the back who spun around. So more dramas to be had of drivers who are struggling to deal with the conditions that they've got out there. A lot to go and cover then as we are heading towards the halfway stage of this race and getting on in. Let's take a little look though at a little replay here, show you what makes the big difference out there in a race like this. And this is just a pure mistake. Then you get out on the curb, you're fighting to go and get it back, and then you just put too much back into it. My goodness, would you want to have that back, KB?
Yeah, that's just one of those situations where you're kind of sitting there after the spin, you're letting the field by, and you're like, why? Why would that small thing take me out of a good points position? But again, it just shows you how technical this track is, especially at the back end of it. When you come through this final sector, which is usually the oval here at Autodromo and Manos Rodriguez, but through the stadium section, those curves run up really high. And we talked about hitting them right. A lot of drivers have been hitting them wrong, and it was just a case of bouncing too much off of the corner. The downforce on the underside of the car goes away, and then it's just a rear end spill. It's very lazy, but sometimes those lazy spins are a little bit more frustrating than the ones you have a hard contact with. Big 3-wide move inside. Hani Noah Mimasi entering SS Moises Solana and still hanging to the inside for 14.
Now, along the Transeri, got a big thump from behind from Eric Goldner. Rodrigo Abreu watches on as well. Fidel Moreira thinking about how he defends this one on the inside. How is this going to work? Because it turns the other way. He can't shut the door, and Moreira's going to take contact. There goes 1, 2, 3 strikes, and you're out. It could be a 4th here as Dalton Zavadil, the man on the bubble. He's had a horrid time of things so far in this race. He'd love any form of points right now with Dalton for fiercely forward, but he knows this is his off round and he can't afford many, if any, of those.
He's got to be on point again. 5 races in these regionals for every single region. There is no forgiving moment in any portion of this schedule. You have to be on your 10 toes at all times, and you just cannot let one of these races get away from you. So that was a great open door there for Zavadil, and still to work on many cars that are all within at least a second or less within each other. But, you know, I look at that perspective of Hadi Noah Mamasi, Jake, I'm thinking that was a moment where he just said, thank you very much, I'm moving on.
Yeah, I shouldn't be here. Again, I qualify well, I get unlucky. I have to find a way to get myself out of it. If you want to learn more about the Porsche Esports Super Cup, there's a QR code there on screen for you. Scan it for more information about the series as we got more side by side. This is Leandro Lansendorf. Then fighting hard with Elvis Rankin, trying to get himself back up the order here. Neto Nascimento, what a run by Elvis Rankin. This is to go plus 18 in the race so far, to go from 27th on the grid to P9.
That is pure resiliency out of Elvis Rankin. But again, that just shows you how talented of a driver he is.
Right.
And look at that beautiful setup. crossing over Leandro Lanzendorf, entering Orquia, a lovely turn to the inside, and now he'll have favorable position entering the S's for the first time on this respective lap. And Rankin did a great job at just hanging back. That is the mental IQ very high for Elvis Rankin, waiting for the moment to strike, let Lanzendorf push that corner way too hard, and then just sneak underneath and make the pass up to the 9th spot.
Do you know what I'm noticing about this region above all others? Level of aggression is the most fierce here.
It is. I mean, the drivers know that they're all really have to be aggressive, and I think it just the level of racing and respect in the Americas region versus a lot of Europe, a lot of Asia Pacific, they all handle this type of sport very, very differently. I like to think that some of the South American fellows, they like to be aggressive, they like to be hard-nosed, and that's just their style. They're very physical, and they like to be, especially that we know that 19 of the 32 drivers hail from the country of Brazil. They're going to be at Interlagos, all of their home tracks. At the end of this region, there's Neto Nascimento there, running in the group in 8th, trying to hold off Rankin. And then another Brazilian, Gustavo Ario, who's doing a great job of also moving up through the field, making his way up to 11th. I mean, you can't deny the top talent, Jake, and they have not let themselves be denied in this race so far.
They absolutely haven't. That's Ariel now up to 11th place. The pass on Dino Filippa that puts him back to what is now only -4 for today so far. And he can sniff that group in front there of Lanzendorf, Rankin, Nascimento, Noah Wing. He knows all too well what it takes to get there. Also, this is the perfect time, 13:47, to talk about the quiet drives in this field. Who I'm really impressed with, Ralph Benitez, Augustin Tolashi. Those two started very well. It's 5th and 6th they are. From 8th and 9th they picked up big points as we go right back down the field now to 19th. Jackson Rezenda, you got Flavio Dantas, Bruno De Carmo. These three all looking around and going top 20. Not on my bucket list.
Yep. Jake, you looked into my brain there with that last thought. That's exactly what I was thinking. What a drive for Benitez and Tolashi with, again, the race that we talked about in round number 1. All of them finishing 16th or worse. That included the Dantas brothers, who are, some of them are still trying to scrap into the top 19 in this battle that we're watching here through Forosol. But, I mean, and that's just the mentality of it all. You get one good race, and that really puts you on a level of momentum that, through a short schedule, can run through the rest of it. We talk about long schedules where you can have the lows and the highs. In a series like this, you ride the wave of momentum that you are on in the very present moment. You got to think about being as present as possible to look to the inside for a potential pass there on Nascimento. Rankin is still working hard. This has been a great sequence to watch for that Coendi Esports car. Probably the most fun storyline we've seen so far in this race.
Oh, thought about the inside, has to go to the outside there. Wasn't offered by Nascimento. Elvis Rankin knows what it takes to win big series out here in iRacing. And now, he gets into the door and forces his way through. Prizes it open, and there's nearly Leandro Lanzendorf diving. This is now open. Gustavo Ariel now with a chance to now try and make that move. He doesn't quite get the run out of the Horkia. Now over to the S's. And ultimately, this is dog eat dog right now with 12 minutes to go. You swing and you better not miss.
I love the strategy, though, in these S's parts of the course, because you can really put that defensive driver in a box, and that's exactly what you saw there with Nascimento. I mean, he tried to defend, he tried to block off the nose of Rankin, but there's just so much you can close off before you eventually make contact and you spin yourself off the nose of the car that's attacking on you in the corner. So Nascimento had to give way at some point. That's the strategy that Rankin does. It opens that door, lets the drivers behind him figure it out. They battle amongst each other, and then, you know what? They lose time. So this 12 car can continue to try and pull away. He doesn't look pressured or phased at all, Jake. I'm going to be honest here. A driver that started deep in this field, he's been composed the entire time, and he just looks locked in as Adio looks to the inside in a position for 10th entering turn 1 if he can get there.
Well, he wants to try and get that back as Gustavo Ariel clears Neto Nascimento behind. Elvis Rankin takes one good look at Leandro Lanzendorf, and the man from Tucson says, well, I'm going to see you in the rearview mirror like that Blink-182 song that he beat to death.
Yep, he's going crazy right now, and it's been a great drive for these two cars. and just mentally putting themselves in a place where they can just swing underneath, do whatever they want. I mean, they're just cha-cha sliding all over Mexico City and making it work at this moment in time. And this has been the most intriguing storyline. Oh, look at this, 3 wide. How about this in the back, trying to squabble amongst each other, squabble up Kendrick Lamar style. We're going with music references. Great battle in the back end of the field.
Well, you talk about Scrabble, I think it's a board of Z, X's and Q's for Fidel Moreira there as he tried to get himself involved. Rodrigo and Brown there getting side by side with the contact. Dantas there, Bruno De Carmo. This is Squabble Station that they have found themselves in with 10 minutes to go. And if you think that this has been 20 minutes of just hard-nosed knuckle fighting here in terms of what they can do in these Porsche 992.2s, final 10 minutes, if you had any reservations before, well, it's closing time at the restaurant. Get your last orders in.
Hey, Jake, I don't know if any of these drivers were holding literally anything back from minute one. They have been on their P's and Q's, but really aggressive at the same time. And I think a lot of them learned from the Sebring race. I mean, we talked about Coenda's dominance and drivers trying to figure out what they're doing to settle themselves in an identity to make top 8 for the Porsche Esports Supercup World Championships, and they know they have to step up now, and if that means being physical and not being friendly with the other drivers, then so be it. They're going to do whatever they can to make themselves the individual top dog amongst the group, even if it's for 19th on back. They're going to do anything they can. Dalton Zavadil under pressure, Abrao looking through the S's, and again, that's been the target. Everyone making moves in turn 1. A lot of them not working, but many of them doing so. You just cannot falter when you have 4 or 5 cars right in the rearview mirror ready to pounce.
This is for no points. That's the big thing. They're fighting this hard for no points. And you put it into perspective, Dalton Zavadil has taken a wrong turn somewhere and has gone, what have I done to deserve this?
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like you get bullied when one car goes through and then you see 2, 3, 4 cars start smacking you out of the way. It gets really frustrating, but I think that's why Zavadil is thinking to himself, just be perfect. Be perfect through all of these laps as you can be to just get away. Let them fight amongst each other. Let them do whatever they can. Only problem here for Zavadil is that Abrao and Moreira are part of the same team, so they're going to probably try to work together in a draft to get closer to Zavadil, put that pressure on the rear bumper, and make him make a mistake. And this is the point where you can easily step out of line. Photosol, the stadium section is so tight, so slow. Feels like ages going through this final sector. But Zavadil's done a great job at least giving some elbow room to those hardline cars behind him.
I just want to put some perspective in. We are 22 minutes into this race right here, Kenneth. And the battle that we are looking at right now is 28 seconds, almost half a minute. Actually, it is half a minute off your race lead. That's staggering.
Yeah, but it's, of course, because of all the trouble on the opening lap, and it's Sebring, that was the trouble. I mean, look at where that back of the battle is going on and where the leaders are right now. They're just coming off of Orquilla. They're entering the SS section while the rest of them are still figuring out their lives in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're still going through the battle there. And it just tells you how the first lap really does tell the story quite blankly for the field. If you start slow, you're going to lose time fighting amongst each other, and you're going to let the top dogs pull away. But if you are any among the perfect Coenda cars we've seen this afternoon, typical like we saw in race number 1, you can easily stretch out to a large gap and just settle into a Saturday cruise here in Mexico City.
Elvis Rankin with that pass on Noah Wing is plus 20 for the day. He's got 6 seconds to catch Augustin Talashi. I doubt he's going to make that in the final 6.5 minutes, but 20 is practically unheard of. Now Gustavo Ariel to be -1. Looks for his way and looks for a way to clip Noah Wing.
You know, the mentality of a race driver primarily is to win. Obviously, that's the main thing you want to go after. But the second thing that also feels just as rewarding on certain days like this is when you make a possibly, potentially bad day really mediocre, or at least kind of good in the case of Rankin and Ariel, in the way they've been able to just squeeze into the top 10 and make up all this track position. That at the end of the day, even if they don't make up more track position by the end of this, it's going to feel like a win. It's going to feel like they evaded something possibly catastrophic. I mean, you think of that Red Bull car of Ariel who's now making the pass on Noah Wing. Beautiful dive down to the inside. He was spinning in that corner. on the opening lap of this race, and here he is in the top 10, still in a good placement for points.
The Verstappen sim racing car going around the outside just finds the clearance on Noah Wing, back to 8th place. Gustavo Ariel is just a machine. He does not quit, just never, ever, ever, and that is going to be the mentality that is going to put him in top 8 and book his place to the Porsche Esports Supercup, and I think everybody around him just knows that that's what he's capable of doing right now as he tries to just distance himself from Noah. So Lanzendorf, so Nascimento, so Dino Felipe can all jump about. Hadi Noah Memasi trying to get back to the group, and suddenly through the S's section here, it's all about Lanzendorf, who will go to the outside, entering the arena section. Oh, contact from behind, big smack there from Nascimento. Round goes Lanzendorf, what a shame.
That's tough. I mean, Torlowski came into this race, or rather Lanzendorf came into this race last in points. So, I mean, that was something that he really had to pick back off of here in Mexico City and gain at least something to note of. And now it's going to be even tougher to get back on the top, but he's 21st after that one single spill. That is how damaging these mistakes have been here at Mexico City. And you take a look at the top 2 leaders. I mean, give credit to Miguel Costa as well. He's kept those 2 leaders not too far away. He's kept them a little bit honest, but he's maintained at least within 2.2 seconds of the front-running 2. I wouldn't say if you're Mitchell de Jong, you relax yet, because with 4 minutes left, this is the right time for Xander Reed and enough space to where they can engage in battle and lose maybe a bit of time to give before Costa becomes a big concern.
Right, so 2 seconds. I wouldn't say you've got an all-out license to attack. I think all you've got at the moment here, Kenneth, is the right move at the right time. You've got a percentage chance of making it. You can't go for the 0% move. You're somewhere still in the 50 to 100% bracket of what have I got clear. You can't go lunging here at the moment in towards the Photosol. That's one thing, for example. So I look at Xander Reed. How is he going to go about it? Battle further behind as DeCarmo finds himself there in position, losing out that one then to Flavio Dantas in terms of position. But for Xander Reed, he races with a backwards cat, which means in any race, he knows it's about to go down.
And he also knows it's a win-win, though. Even if he stays in second, he's got 60 points from race number 1. He's going to pick up a plethora of points here in race 2. So with a good finish and a good qualifying effort, that's enough points to basically stay in the lead of the championship as we move into race number 3 of the schedule. So, you know, with Reed, there is a balanced aggression that he can have here, but if I'm that second car in line and I see Mitchell de Jong winning this race, I'm not going to be too upset because it's a teammate number 1. He gets to gain position in the top 8 a little more comfortably, and if I'm Xander Reed, I'm the points leader still if I finish here. So, and maybe it's not worth the risk to just throw it in on de Jong, but you know, they're race car drivers. They're going to go at it regardless. So I think if Reed finds an open door, he's going to take it.
Absolutely. He's eyeing it up here at the Hawkia corner as the place where it could be, where he gets it done. They do have traffic on the horizon, and it is in the form of Achilles Yanis, who is there in position. Yanis is there, who could be the pick that is needed. Battle on for first at the top. Keep an eye out on what's going on the race for 10. On the bottom of your screen. An all-important point between Neto Nascimento and Dino Felipe.
I'm going all out for position. Drivers that, of course, picking up on relatively solid days in Sebring. Nascimento looking for a better one. Already this is an improvement. +8 from his last finish at Sebring where he ran in 18th. And for Felipe capping off the top 10. He's just on the outskirts now, but still solid momentum there for the pink car. Just eyeing in on a move where, I mean, this has been the treacherous part. This Photosol, it's been fun. I mean, as a driver, it's slow, it's kind of tough. You run through the curves, it can be very difficult at times. But you know if you get a good pass entry in there, you're going to take that for sure 100% of the time. This battle for 10th is still going to be good. And Mimasi, I mean, he had also a rough day at Sebring for the gridandgo.com car. So this is already an improvement. And I think you just got to slowly do that if you had a rough round 1. And I think these 3 drivers, if they can gain more, are going to be happy about that for sure.
Barney's waving the white flag out there. They cross with 1:37 on the clock. A lap for your leaders is in the 139. So it's all on at the moment. Felipe covered here at turn 1, here at the Moises Solana, and into that first chicane they go through. Your leaders already heading to the S's section. There's one big chance left, which is the run into the Photosol for Xander Reed if he wants to go and get there. On through the S's now, right, left, needing this big old right to be huge right now for Xander Reed. He's got to pick up some momentum here because Mitchell de Jong, he's basically been running away at this like he's been an NFL linebacker, for example, who's been keeping an eye on a very, very tame quarterback in front of him. This has been absolutely stalwart solid as far as he's gone about it. Xander Reed big on the brakes here, trying to take a big line here through the baseball stadium to the Peraltada for the final time. Mitchell de Jong has been, simply put, majestic once again. This time, his first of the season at Mexico City.
All out perfect for not only Mitchell de Jong, for Xander Reed, for Team Coanda. They sweep the first 2 races in a 1-2 fashion in the Americas region. Felipe, final quarter, Peraltada looking for Nascimento on the inside. Can't quite get there. Those 3 will finish where they were in that final lap. Great drive for all 3 of those cars. Good points on the day as the rest of the field comes around to close out what was a very difficult Mexico City round 2.
Drivers like Leandro Lanzendorf are going to be kicking themselves because it's not their fault that the points have gone falling away. He's had a wonderful chance out there, but Mitchell de Jong will feel incredibly happy about his result, especially with his teammate Xander Reed along with him. This is his Mobil 1 winning moment. And Kenneth, I think it has to be stated here, it's about those 2. They've ran away at the front of the field and they just took the situation that came to them. They've only got one guy in the back to worry about. Don't worry, race is on ice.
It just tells you the distance between the top 3 and the rest of the drivers. I mean, that is just pure talent, pure speed out of these 2 so far today. And keep credit to Miguel Costa as well for being 3rd all day long and keeping up with the pace. But Coanda, again, perfect in round 1, perfect in round 2.
Absolutely. Let's take a look, though, at your Trilux move of the race, because this was all about the magic of lap 1. And Leandro Lanzendorf, okay, it didn't quite work out for him in the end, but look at this for avoidance here on the opening lap. Oh, has to hit the brakes early to try and avoid. Now left, right, where do you go in all of this? Just picked his way through without any real worry. That was so heads up, KP.
At least 10 to 15 excuse me's there on the inside and the outside. If that is the narrowest part of this Mexico City circuit, and somehow he got away without a single scratch on the car. Great move.
Absolutely ace there from Leandro Lanzendorf, but Mitchell de Jong gets the job done by 0.3 of a second over Xander Reed, with Miguel Costa ending up the final driver on the podium. Sean Campbell, really quiet run for him in 4th. He'll bank the points. He'll take them to the bank and say, look, I'll have those, as will Ralph Benitez and Augustin Tolashi. They'll say, great job. Elvis Rankin, though, what a day to make the best of a bad situation. 27th to 7th. Are you kidding me? Gustavo Ariel caught up in that lap 1 incident. Back to 8th. Brilliant tenacity from them. Knowing 9th. Neto Nascimento 10th.
And Dino Felipe just misses out on the 2nd straight top 10, but he's 11th. How do you know Mamasi's going to like this finish? Because he had a poor one in Sebring, 12th for him. Felipe Dantas is 13th. Eric Golder, 14th. Jackson Rezende, the Brazilian, in the top 15, with Rodrigo Abrao in 16th. Dalton Zavadil, 17th. Fidel Moreira, Flavio Dantas, and Bruno do Carmo round out today's top 20.
Over the page, because we got 10 more to go with and have a chat with. 21st, as far as today will go, belongs to Leandro Lanzendorf. Real shame for him, as Victor Veloso, quiet run to 22nd. William Augustin had a spin with Esteban Adriano there, 24th. Daniel Molina, Kilish Giannissis there, and your retirees, as well as Giannissis, Francisco Camillo, Luis Sherma, Felipe Juliato. Big shock Then third in the championship, Gabriel Moretto running into all sorts of troubles, and big troubles at that in the office. A real shame to go and see that, but Kenneth Bueno is down in the virtual paddock right now. I believe he's got your race winner overall, and I believe that will be in the next few moments, Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong getting his first win of the season in the Americas Regional, and it's Andy Reid right behind him, but Team Coana continues to put things on the board. Mitchell, how about this race for Mexico City? You line it up with the pole award, you keep yourself at the front. What did it take really to be perfect all day long here in Mexico?
Yeah, I think just a lot of hard work in the preparation leading up to this. We really put in some hours for this one after, well, personally, not the best race in the first one. But yeah, no, really good points for us. I think it's a shame that Elvis didn't have the best Q lap that he could have, because I think it would have been a 1-2-3, which is great for us. Yeah, wonderful race. Very on edge with the track limits here, so always keeps you on your toes for sure. But yeah, really happy with this one.
Let's talk about that difference there. Sebring was bumps on the overall surface, but this seemed to be the bumps in the curbs and how hard you had to attack them, while also making sure the car didn't just unravel out of control. How were you able to find that perfect balance between just attacking it for lap time, but also making sure you didn't bounce the car out of whack at any moment?
It's a really fine line. You know, there's a lot of opportunity here to use the curbs to your advantage, but doing them consistently is extremely difficult. So it took us a long time to figure out how to do that. And I'm really happy we did, because it paid off for sure. I think we pretty clearly had a pretty nice pace advantage in a few sections there. So yeah, hard work pays off for sure. Fortunately, we, avoided off tracks and slow down penalties and all that stuff, which is the big risk with doing it. But yeah, it was good.
Final one before we let you go, Mitchell. You had top 6 placement in round number 1. It's obviously a win and maximum points here in round 2. A little more comfortable to that top 8 cut line. How comfortable do you feel now moving into Watkins Glen in the second half of the schedule?
It's definitely a great situation to be in now to get these points. With how up and down the series can be in this with the one-shot qualifier, you can't get too comfortable. I think until you're in round 5 or so, even after like a bunch of good finishes, I think you can't be too complacent. So we'll keep pushing and yeah, try to make it through to the big series.
All right, Mitchell. Well, congratulations on the win here from Mexico City, and best of luck as we move on to Watkins Glen.
Thanks.
And moving on to the next driver in this line, we're joined by Elvis Rankin, the biggest mover of the day. 27th, you started this one, Elvis, and you make your way up to 7th place, or yes, 7th place at the end of this one. How did you do that at a track which seemed pretty hard to make up track position? What was your perspective?
Honestly, I don't really know, man. It was I was going into the race and I was like thinking if I could scrape maybe a top 10 or a top 15, I'd be pretty happy, as it's really hard to pass on this aero model. But yeah, I don't know. It's just there was the big pileup in turn 1, and it felt like everyone just parted away, and there was a nice gap, and I just went through it, and it was when I looked down at the relative, and I was like, oh, how many places I make up, and I was P12 after lap 1. So that was really, really crazy. Would have liked to see what I could have done if I had actually been able to get a quali lap, but I just had like some bad bounce in the last sector that just like killed the tires, and then I got an off track. So it was not the cleanest day, but for sure the results and how I was able to cover it can definitely be proud of.
To see this team obviously winning the first 2 rounds, for you to make up as many positions as you did today in Mexico, what does that say about the relentless nature of not only you, but this team moving into the halfway point of the schedule?
Yeah, for sure. I think that all the guys at Coana Esports, even you've seen the guys how they did in the European series, we showed how we're a really determined group. We really, really wanted to show out in this championship. We're really wanting that top prize, all of us, and we're all doing a really good job of banding together, working together. And that's something that always for me has been super important, was like the team environments, and I'd say that that's something that have gotten down here for sure at Coana Esports, and I think it's showing on the track.
Well, Elvis, I think if we had moves of the race, you would be the top candidate. 20 spots gained from lap 1 to the ending of it all. Congratulations on the comeback drive, the top 10, and we'll see you at Watkins Glen in a few weeks.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
That's Elvis Rankin, who ends up being the biggest mover of this race. And now we move on to Miguel Costa. Miguel, what a drive for you. Third place through the night. It was a very solid one. It felt like you were kind of all by yourself, but what did you see here from Mexico on a top 3 finish?
Yeah, very happy, obviously. I mean, I didn't really expect much coming into this race, as it's a very hard track in general, and I think we've been struggling a bit throughout the week in practice. But yeah, unfortunately had the small contact on lap 1 and managed to lose the slipstream to the 2 guys ahead. But anyway, a podium, I'm extremely happy, and pace is clearly there.
We saw obviously a top 10 at Sebring and obviously a great finish here from Mexico. What do you see for the rest of the schedule in the Glen, Miami, and Interlagos, those tracks? And any specific one you find to be one that we're going to count you as a favorite in, or how do you attack those 3 for the next few?
I think especially Miami, I will struggle a bit as I've never really driven it before, but Interlagos I know very well, and I've driven a lot in the past, even in the old Porsche Cup, so I think that one I'll be quite strong, hopefully. Just have to work hard in the other 2, I think, to manage to get good results and then hopefully make it into the main series.
Well, Miguel, as a fellow Miamian myself, we got to hold it down at the International Autodrome in a few weeks' time. But a great race today. Any kind of parting thoughts before we head over to the Glen on what Mexico was like to drive?
It's a fun track once you get the hang of it. I think especially using the curbs and just pushing to the limit in this track is quite difficult. But yeah, overall I'm happy with the race, and see you at the Glen.
All right, Miguel. Well, best of luck. Great finish today. We'll see you at the Glen in a few weeks.
Thank you.
So those are the drivers, top finishers, and all the storylines after this race in the Americas region. Round number 2 here from Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. And just like I predicted, it's going to Xander Reed as still the points leader by a pretty hefty margin. Mitchell de Jong, though, makes a big jump up from 6th to 2nd. So we talk about a little bit of comfortability to that top 8 cut line. He's 51 above. He's got a lot to work with. Gustavo Ariel, Gabriel Moreto, after the crash early on, is still in the top 8, but not by much. It is a 4-point swing between Agustin Torlasi and Dino Filippa, 8th and 9th. So still lots to be talked about as we move in to the Glen in a few weeks' time and the rest of the top 20. Some gaining drivers, but still lots of work to do before we head over to the next round of this Porsche Esports Supercup Americas region, and we head back to the United States. Watkins Glen, New York, beautiful track near the Finger Lakes is going to be the host of our next round of the Americas region, July 25th at 19 GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the Glen. You'll catch us there for round number 3 of the Porsche Esports Super Cup Regionals. Our Americas had a stunner here from Mexico, but do not go anywhere. The Porsche Esports Super Cup Regionals continue. Middle East and Africa is up next.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Pressure locks you to the floor, waiting for an open door. The clock is ticking, make your move. Here's your signal, time to prove. Can you hear me now? 'Cause I'm shouting through the noise. Can you hear me now? It's time to make a choice. Break the chains and rush the gates. Hurry before it's too late.
This might be one of the greatest circuits ever created, and this might be the moment where so many more can go and get what you need. Suzuka's International Racing Course is one of the best in the world, and you will see it here with us on iRacing, here with Porsche and your Esports Supercup Regionals. This is the MEA region. We're getting ourselves in for the action. I am a little bit of a poorly Jake Sperry. Alongside with me is Kenneth Bueno as we go and take ourselves into the next stage's worth of running. And KB, the critical factor is every single corner on this circuit means something. From the likes of the Gyaku Bank up through Nipo, the Degners, the Nissan Brake hairpin. You go over to that final Astamo chicane. Spoon, it's amazing. This place is amazing.
It is tremendous. It's so lovely, and the fact that we get to race it on this schedule is awesome just because this track is incredibly fast, but it has plenty of technical sectors. It's all about momentum here, and you could easily lose your rhythm very quickly, but Suzuka's just a lovely circuit. Porsche loves it. We love it. And so it's great to see that Middle East and Africa and even the APAC regions on the other side, they're going to like it as well.
They absolutely are, and it is going to be so awesome to see amazing action. But how you get there is the big key. This format will give you the understanding of how.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are two ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, Every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
And so it's going to be about who wanted it here. Slightly reduced field in terms of what we get in the MEA region, but it doesn't mean it's any less exciting, because this was all about who wanted it more. Teammates coming together, everyone having a huge battleground out there, KB. And the big key when it was at Fuji Speedway was, right, who's going to step up? Who's going to make themselves counted in a field that has never seen a single driver in this caliber make their way to the Porsche Esports Super Cup?
Yeah, a lot of new coming names that are trying to make a name for themselves in these regionals, and only 10 drivers. But who says that you can't have an exciting race with just 10 drivers here at Fuji? We had plenty of great action all along. NL Racing, all of them getting into each other. Some spins there off the corners. Those are teammates, by the way. It's a little bit of friendly banter, if you will. Maybe not so friendly at the end and when it comes to points and track position. But they made this race incredible. Tons of dives to the inside. Very strategical moves all across the board. And then how about the final battles at the head of this field? Patrick Kessel of Esto Gobati made the headlines while everyone tried to scrap for all of the track position they could.
Yeah, they absolutely were there, and you had the likes of the teams trying to figure out what they needed to be at. But when you've got Gobati versus Kessel, look at it, contact on the main straight as Gobati tried to work over to the outside. It was wonderful stuff in terms of how Avesta wanted to battle. Patrick Kessel getting it done. Suzuka today, they run the same as Asia Pacific. They'll know they'll have Adelaide, Okayama and Phillip Island to end the season. So going from dedicated figure eight, street circuit everyone knows like the back of their hand, high-speed show ride. That is a very interesting calendar.
It's very diverse, and it's great that we're going to see it across two regions where they have the similar sample size and what kind of tracks they're going to encounter. And again, Suzuka is probably the largest of all of them in the way that you really have to be very dedicated to the momentum, dedicated to the rhythm. Adelaide's going to be, I think, the biggest rhythm shaker of it all. That's a very bumpy, very tight and narrow street circuit in Australia and Adelaide, so that's going to be fun to watch. And Suzuka, next week, Asia Pacific is going to go through it, so maybe they can see what the MEA drivers do here today and maybe get a bit of at least a tip, some pointers on what's going on.
Yeah, and so this is going to be a case where I think we look around at today and go, well, what happened last week? I think this is a case of two drivers are looking to claim that they are going to be top dog, but who's going to get there? We know the cream's going to rise to the top, but who's the cream of the cream?
Well, right now, it's just a debate between Patrick Kessel and Avesta Gobati. Those were the only two to lead at least one lap in that 30-minute race in round number 1 at Fuji Speedway. So, turns out they had the clear pace over everyone in this field. Now, that can change in this second round and moving on through the schedule, but that's the sample size we have. Those are the two drivers that have been so far the outright best. They've been pinpoint accurate in their placement of the car. They had a great battle at the end of that Fuji Speedway race. So safe to say their battle's not quite done yet. There may be a response from Gobati here at Suzuka in this long track, but we'll see what they can do to respond.
Now, we caught a good eye at NL Racing and what they were able to do in the bottom half of the field. They kept the spice, they kept the excitement, but I would like to ask you this question here. What is rule 1 of motorsport, the golden rule?
Well, don't wreck your teammates, right? Don't get them involved in any sort of trouble. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways from Fuji in round 1, where NL Racing were great. They put on some great racing, and it was fun for us to talk about in the booth. But they could have wrecked each other. I mean, that's the rule of teammates. You do not want to have your cars out of position in points. And yes, there are only 10 cars and 8 spots available, but you don't want to have NL Racing have the highest percentage of cars that are close to the outskirts of that top 8. You want to protect your points paying output in this series and in this regional. So yes, have fun, race each other hard, and have a good time. Just don't wreck each other, please.
Absolutely, and so now you start thinking about, okay, well, where are we today? And I would say where we're at, it's an oasis here in Suzuka.
Yep, and it's one of Porsche's beloved racetracks. Hosts 2 rounds for the Porsche Carrera Cup, also hosts of the official test. And Carrera Cup Japan is going to be taking a trip here at Suzuka in September. So this is a beloved track for Porsche, and where these cars really make themselves at home. It's perfect for these types of machines that can really rip off fast speeds on the straights, but also know how to tackle corners with a lot of precision and accuracy. So probably the perfect balance that we'll see for round number 2, and something that the drivers will have to just get used to through practice and into this race session today.
So, with that all in mind, let's take you to your Loctite race analysis. So, we've got no planned pit stops, a standing start. Top 8 will move on, so there's going to be 2 unlucky drivers out there. 30 minutes in terms of race length. And so, I'd be saying here, 30 minutes, reduced speed, reduced grid. I'd say you got more time to think.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you do have a lot of time to think about what's going on, and these straightaways are so long. You're going to plan your move maybe 7 turns in advance. It's going to be one of those types of tracks. But here we are in Suzuka International Racing Course. It's a track name in Kanji, located in Suzuka, Japan. 3.6 miles. It is a beast of a racetrack. 5.8 kilometers, 17 turns, similar to Mexico City, but all very different. Counterclockwise setup and a bridge that goes over each other. It's a figure-8 racetrack. It opened back in 1962. The F1 Japanese Grand Prix was held here, Super GT, and of course this Porsche Esports Supercup Middle East and Africa Regional that we'll see here today.
Formula Drift Japan has also come around here in these parts, and so there's been some wonderful action over Suzuka in all formats that you can possibly think of here at this very special circuit. Each sector slightly different from the last and makes a big old difference out there with TDK, which is going to be out there as we go forward. But I would say here, Kenneth, as far as we go, you can get on track with iRacing with us today, and now is a perfect time to jump on board, get your subscription sorted, and go, right, I want to be part of the best virtual racing on the planet.
Well, there's nowhere where you can find as competitive of sim racing as you can right here on iRacing, so it is a perfect time to get in. 30% off brand new memberships on the sim, so join the community, get on track, maybe make yourself one of these names that makes the Porsche Esports Super Cup World Championship.
Well, let's go take a look at this lap here with Avesta Gabati, because this was a very, very cool 201.2 that was put down on the board, courtesy of TDK, which is in everything better. Got a lovely launch there through turns 1 and 2, but now the S's section here, through 3, through 4, sometimes known as the Asura S's, now into turn 5, and the wonderfully named Gyaku Bank, reverse bank corner here. So easy for you to just understeer out wide. You've got to connect yourself back to the right-hand side for Nippo. At turn 7, light yourself up the hill and hold down the power for as long as you can, because it's all smooth sailing until you get to these 2 very fast right punches of the Degners.
And as fast as you're going through the Degner curve, you do not want to overextend, go into the grass, but hang tight to the left side of the curving there. Off of turn 10, you go right into this hairpin section, so you turn right, got to make sure you plant the car straight before you hop hard on the brakes. Just curl it around through this mini bank sector, hang right, be right into the long, long straightaway. Technically turning straight away through turn 12 and into the spoon curve. You're going up the hill. You can't really see the corner until you're already there. It's a crest, bam, hard on the brakes. Take that left turn through the spoon, carry as much throttle off. There's a second apex right there. You gotta hang tight on before you plant this throttle and go singing down to turn 15.
Yeah, and this is where you just decide down the hill, up the hill. Give yourself a chance to breathe here. You don't realise you're going over the circuit that you've been already, because you've got this fearsome corner on the other side of it. 130R, the fabled corner of all fables. And then immediately focus, because the Astamo chicane waits for you at the end. The right, the left, and then you say, right, can you find it? Patrick Kessel over the line, 201.122. Money as far as they go. Easy to understand here today. We've got 2 missing, so we've got 8 drivers here on this grid. So everyone's scoring big points today. Patrick Kessel in control with Avesta Gabati. Alongside for company, Dylan Allen will be starting in 3rd with Ruslan Hamidulin there in 4th position. You've then got Werner Schoenmann in 5th place with Jack John 6th. Oliver Heasley and Shivesh Bassoon make up your top 8 as they will look to push on in this season. So still a lot that they've got to try and navigate through here in this race, and it can be one here, KB, where I turn around, I look at that grid and go, right, how do I avoid calamity on the opening lap?
Well, just avoid it altogether. You only have 8 drivers. There are 8 drivers that are available to get in off of this regional into the World Championship part of it. So just keep your car safe. I mean, we've got turn 1, which is pretty treacherous on its own right, but you can survive it in that first corner, very long, and take time to think about some things. It doesn't narrow up like we saw with Mexico City, so plenty of time for those drivers to just take care of their cars and have a good race.
I'm really interested to see Dylan Allen because he wasn't a million miles away in that qualifying. He had a 201.5 on the board, and he certainly looked like he was made for this series. And if you want to learn more about this series, you can scan the QR code that's there on screen, and that will give you everything that you need to know that puts you up together to say, right, this is all I want here in terms of my information of what's so great here about the Porsche Esports Super Cup, the regionals, all 4 regions that you can find, and the big prize at the end, which is a real-world drive you can get there. All 8 now looking to get themselves on the grid and getting themselves ready because the green flag will drop and we are underway. Patrick Kessel immediately moves himself over, has a very lovely start to this one. Avesta Gavani then is the one immediately following in tow, trying to find a way to get through for the first corners. Kessel running slightly wide. Gavani will have a little look to the inside, won't get there. Allen then third, Hamidlin there in 4th. You've got Sherman there in 5th and Jack John 6th as they work to the S's for the first time.
Hamidlin made a good move there in turn 1 right before the straightaway was done and just took a look to the inside. Now he's made his way up to 4th, but Kessel did a nice defensive job. I think he wanted to close off that first corner a little tighter than he would have liked there, but he just kept that little bit of half lane open. Gabati took a look to the inside, but still a great first sector for Patrick Kessel and a great start for the field. Didn't get into too much trouble hanging into one of the hardest points of this circuit there, a Degner curve, and before you go into this part of the hairpin, which does get very tight. So far, Patrick Kessel on a solid lap 1, field clean for the first part.
Yeah, it's clean, it's calm, it's everything that you want it to be. And so now I would start keeping a very close focus going, okay, what more can I go and gather out of it here? This has been a very nice start to the race. And so I'd be looking around at Batty, I'd be looking at Dylan Allen, I'd be looking at Hamidlin, Sherman here, and thinking, right, how do I hit my marks? Going into Spoon here, fast left-hander, you slow it down to 140, 135 kilometers an hour, and then down to only 110 at the second part, trying to throw you off at every single stage of the way.
You know, you adapt over the course of a race, Jake, but especially on lap number 1, you get a feel for what the tempo and the rhythm of the event is going to be in the first few corners. I think it was a pure opposite from the America's first corners at Mexico City, where drivers were thinking, all right, well, if I'm in the crash, I'm going to be as aggressive as I can for the rest of the day to be able to gain as much track position as I can. Here it's a little different. Everyone was single file. There were some moves here and there, but you think to yourself, all right, now it's less about racing the other drivers. Let me pinpoint and put my car in the right place on the track at all times and get some good lap times, like if this was qualifying or practice. Don't worry too much about the traffic. Run your own line. Eventually, you're able to shave off enough time. You're going to get to those passes very quickly.
And the laps will go by quite quickly by the fact that we're going over 2 minutes. So it's going to be a 15-lap race, and it is just going to feel very, very fast as far as this goes. Climbing up through the S's again. Kessel in control. Gabati following on in second. Dylan Allen then in third. And really here, when you look at Avesta Gabati, he has got so much understanding of what it means to be quick. He's raced out against some of the best in an arcade sense in the world. He now wants to try himself at the highest level, and he's someone who, if he goes about his business the way that he's gone about business with the races that he has done previously, I think Avesta Gabati is going to be an absolutely very tough character to go and battle with. Once he understands this Porsche 992.2, world watch out.
Well, he's a tough contender already through the first bit of sampling that we had from Gobati in race number 1 at Fuji Speedway. I mean, the win went to Patrick Kessel, but Gobati gave him a proper fight until the end. There is definite talent and speed behind the wheel of this driver here, and we know that he can put himself in a position already on points. We think he's going to be a contender to make top 8 already, but we know he's going to have a win in his back pocket at some point. It's just about when that's going to be in the 5-race regional. And the onboard look there from Dylan Allen also shows a pretty good look at the top 2, keeping at least within a second or so between himself and Gobati there running in second. these are the three main contenders, I'd say, Jake, for this specific regional and how quick they were in race 1 and what seems to be a very solid start to race 2.
Dylan Allen then from South Africa, currently living in Dubai, and someone who is very much intrigued in terms of how he wants to go. Hasn't had too long in his sim racing career here, KB, but the key is he understands sport and he understands it really well. Big Springboks fan when it comes to rugby, and I heard the Springboks are doing very, very well at the moment, seeing as they absolutely smashed England and put 5 tries past them.
Well, I can't really give any sort of rugby references here. I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean, Dylan Allen, that's really cool to see that. Just enjoying a good team, and when your team does well, I think you feel better overall, and I think he's felt confident himself. 3rd place in round number 1, so this is basically the same lineup we had at the end of Fuji a few weeks ago. I mean, that shows you just how these top 3 are incredibly talented. They seem to be putting some of their best laps here in this first race. And then you look at some of the drivers like Werner Schoeman. How about this gorgeous looking car for Werner Schoeman in the top 5, trying to get around Ruslan Kamidulin inside the top 4. And those 3 cars, 4th, 5th, 6th, all relatively close. So I wouldn't say this battle is calm and composed. It could get very fiery in a quick manner of time.
Oh, absolutely. This is one where, okay, the Panda City machine, it's calm on the surface, but it can get busy in a heartbeat here at Suzuka, and that's going to be the difference maker, I think, between a good result and a great result, is that you are going to see drivers who are maybe going to push the boundaries a bit too much. It's a circuit that I think in the modern day of racing, I know there's a lot of people who say, oh, you can't overtake at Suzuka, it's a horrible circuit, I don't like it, I don't want to be here. I think it's a circuit you can overtake at, but you have to be choice at where you make the mark, and it's key because this tests every single skill that a driver has. I don't think there are many circuits in the world that can do that.
Yeah, and you'll have that sort of diverse discourse about tracks like these on whether it is pure raceable, whether it is super competitive on the track, and I'd argue that it is, but it's that in the middle between being super accurate and being a very talented driver in all of these technical sectors and also racing the traffic around you. There's a look at Werner Schoeman there, beautiful sim rig, got the gloves on as he races into turn 1, and also a driver who has definitely stepped up his sim rig since he started. He started driving, Jake, on a laptop. I mean, it shows you how in sim racing you can start with the most minimalist of setups and then work your way up, and Schoeman so far putting on a good lap, clean look at this front nose shot of this first sector here at Suzuka.
I do worry, though, on the fact that might be a television screen rather than a PC screen, so would there be any input delay?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I like the direct drive wheel, we'll say that. I'm kind of scared of direct drives, Jake, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to snap my wrist if there's a mistake. I give credit to all the drivers who put their DDRs on and they start racing it on iRacing, but it doesn't look like any input lag to me. He's done a good job so far.
Well, KB, no one's telling you to turn your force feedback up to maximum. that much I can say.
It's a challenge, though. I mean, some drivers like it. I mean, if it makes my arm strong, you know what? I might try it. Why not?
Well, saves me doing arm day at the gym. Very much that sort of case, isn't it? But for the moment, Werner Schoeman, understanding here, it is winter in the southern hemisphere right now. I am feeling a lot toastier, understanding that he is in long sleeve at this moment in time, and I'm here sweating in a 40-degree room right now, trying to just get through and seeing all of this going on. This is a lovely, lovely run at the moment. Kessel breaking the second right now, 1.2 at the front, as we focus here on the driver in 4th position right now and running clear from the top 3 away. This is Ruslan Kamidulin out there. Kamidulin, a driver who has a lot of experience. That experience is stunt experience.
Yeah, he's someone that has an incredible story and someone who also qualified for the Lamborghini, the Super Trofeo, and the UAE qualifiers, and he's really put himself on the map as a driver to watch out for. Look at that beautiful car as well, one of those few machines racing for NL Racing. They all have that uniform colored look, and it's great to see what Kamidulin has done so far in this race. I mean, he's fallen just a drift to Dylan Allen, so I mean, the time right now isn't quite there for car number 7, but 4th out of 8 cars, right at the halfway mark. Pretty solid run so far for the driver out of the UAE. He's got to keep it up for the rest of this race, which should be at least 10 more laps. Telemetry tells us through 21 minutes.
Yeah, so you just got to switch on then as far as the start of this race goes. You've put a few laps in on the board already, so keep that up and you'll get the result that you want. If you fail to keep that mantra, that margin up, that's key. Your movers, top 6, exactly where they are in terms of pace. The key has been the final couple out there as we look with Jack Johns at the moment, fighting in the number 4 car to get some pace. Started 6th, is 6th. Up the hill, Nissan brake hairpin here, sometimes known as Kobayashi Corner, by the way that he was able to make moves back in the day. But Jack Johns here probably sits and realises, okay, I'm not actually a million miles away from Werner Schoeman, so I think I'll be very happy at the fact that I am in range. Any mistake, I can pounce. I'm in there for the fight.
Oh yeah, for sure, and especially through the S's part, the snake part of Suzuka and this racing course. If you make one mistake there, I mean, you're off momentum for the next few corners, and that loses a ton of time once that gains over a compound interest. So Johns, if he can maybe pounce on that, definitely gain a bit of time little by little through this track. And a great story as well for Jack Johns, plenty of driving experience, someone who's an instructor at Yas Marina and a Dubai Autodrome too, so knows a lot about teaching drivers how to be well, and a very well driver himself. Look at that, his camera's just shaking through the chicane at the back end of the circuit.
Yeah, really having to work hard, fighting through the left and the right and the left, and getting on through. Down the hill then into turn 1, the first corner, and through turn 2. Patrick Kessel now trying to really run forward and say, look, I am the star of this show. I'm going to prove that I am top level as far as this goes. And Kessel is proving that here, pulling that gap, a 10th here, a 10th there. It's making the difference.
Yeah, he has, and that's been these small little differences that have kept him above Avesta Gabati and has not enabled any potential for a fight between those two like we saw at Fuji. You see a different colored car for Patrick Kessel. The South African did change teams, so he's now a privateer instead of being for Maniti Racing. He was in the black and light green colors at Fuji when he took the race victory, but now in the green and yellow iRacing colors here. Still a beautiful car out there representing South Africa in this Middle East and Africa region. But I'd say, I mean, he's put on a solid jump. This is exactly what you need to do. Just take care of business, treat this like a normal day at the office, and just run laps by yourself. That's what these drivers do in testing, and if you can replicate that in a race and be just perfect, that's all you can ask for.
Right, so from one car of black, green and gold, let's go switch to the other car of black, green and gold, shall we? As we will go from one position to the other. Shivesh Bassoon down there in 7th place, really trying to work. And notice the lack of light that is out there. The lights are off, and the key is concentration level, because you don't want things that are distracting and taking your immersion away. I would have it exactly the same way if I'm driving.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about sim racing, is that you just have the enable to do whatever you want in your room, have your sim rig be whatever it is, and just kind of have whatever is perfect for your concentration. Some drivers like to have the light on because they feel like their eyes get more strained when they're in the dark and they just have the light from their monitor on and maybe a few of their peripherals there around them in the sim rig. Some drivers just like to be all in the darkness so you can barely see their face, but they know they're locked in right now. But Bassoon has the favorability that it is nighttime. It's almost 10:30 p.m. local time in South Africa, so he has the assistance of the night sky, but even then could have the lights on, but he decides to just have the monitor on to focus and be in this race as perfectly as possible.
Yeah, lights, well, the lights are off, but Shivesh Bassoon is home in 7th position and trying to really work as he tries to go forward here. Now, I just want to keep an eye out on his sim rig for a moment there. Do you see how much the camera's actually going in and moving as we zoom on in? Look at the concentration on his face. He is staring down the apexes.
Yeah, and he's looking into the corners. I love that little detail that drivers do where they kind of look into the corner as they would in real life, because they're just trying to look over. In the cockpit in real life, you will be looking over at what the next apex is, where the rest of the course is. But here in the sim, you're just kind of looking at where you're turning. So I just love that. Look at the Formula Win for Bassoon, just locked in. Obviously has a lot of force feedback on that with the way it was shaking through parts of the curbs and parts of here at Suzuka International Racing Course. Great look at the sim rig for Bassoon, who's trying to make up what is almost 2.5 seconds plus some on Jack Johns, who's running 6th.
Yeah, so he needs 2.5 there. Johns needs 1 over Schoenmann. Schoenmann needs 1.4 on Gemiddelin. And you're getting the sense of, okay, I only need 1. But the hardest second to catch in motorsports, we keep talking about it. It's the same in sim racing. Hardest second to catch, it's the last one.
It is, because you feel so close, but then you feel so far, and I like to consider this a little bit of the overthinking zone when you're behind in traffic, because you're just looking at what the driver is doing, and sometimes, subconsciously, some of the best drivers can get away from that habit, but at least for a lot of sim racers, including myself, if you're behind a second on a car, you can see them right in front of you. You're almost mirroring their driving style. So if they overshoot a corner, you're going to overshoot it. Maybe you're going to try to push a little hard to try and urgently gain the little bit of time you've lost, and then you lose more time at the end of that. So I love the mentality part of it for the drivers and how they try to race each other, but always feels so close yet so far at the same time.
QR code will take you over here to iRacing.com/membership, where brand new memberships are 30% off. Get on track with iRacing as we focus here with Oliver Heasley for the time being, here down near at the back of the field for the time at this moment, and he's trying very hard to get himself up the order and start charging and start believing what he's all about. I still love his livery. I think it is the best livery in the entire competition.
It is incredible. I love the patterns on the car. You know, South Africa is such a diverse country, 11 different communities. People speak 11 different languages. And I think this car does a great job at representing the pure culture of South Africa. And there's Oliver Heasley. Look, a different look. He's got the lights on. Even though it's a little under 10:30 local time in South Africa, he's got the lights on. He doesn't want that monitor to bother him if it's too dark in there. So he's got a light back there as well. Proper light, that is. I'm not sure what that's for, but for Heasley there, just focus on his run, even though he's way back from the rest of this field and just trying to complete a clean race.
Yeah, needing to just put the points down, and if he continues to finish top 8, he'll book his place. So they don't ask you how, they ask you how many. He's going to have to try and get into the dance. How many appearances in the Porsche Esports Supercup? 1, yeah, I'll take that. I'd love 1 appearance in the Porsche Esports Supercup. He's proving that at the moment, that he's doing more than enough to give himself that at the moment here at round 2 at Suzuka. Clean, efficient, no worry, no drama, no argument. Job's a good one. Job is a good one right now for Patrick Kessel as he works through the SS section with 13.5. We'll listen more to the sounds and the sights of these wonderful Porsche 992.2s as we'll take you iRacing full throttle. So, gap starting to close on down into the final 10 minutes here as Werner Schoeman here is the one under pressure. Jack Johns is the one closing on in. Last lap by 2:02.4, played a 2:02.2. It's not dramatic. It's a little bit here, it's a little bit there. It's like an artisan working away at their new marble statue.
2/10 though is still a lot per lap in the favor of Jack Johns. So the tires, it looks like have fallen away a bit for Schoeman in the top 5, and he's really got to be on all eyes for Jack Johns because there could be any move that's played, probably not through the S's here, but definitely in the second sector where you have a bit more of the harder braking zones. So Johns again is in this position where he's getting now more of the draft from Schoeman, which is a great thing on the straights, but then he also has to deal with a car right in front of him by at least less than a car length or two in some of these slower parts of the Suzuka International Racing Course. So Johns has to be very careful about where he puts the nose of his race car, try not to bump Schoeman out of the way, get any damage to either of their Porsche Cup cars. The best battle we're seeing on the racetrack right now may also end up getting Dusan Kamindalin, who's back in 4th. Maybe these three, knowing that Johns and Schoeman are both faster by a 10th over the 7 car, could be a 3-way battle we watch at the end.
So, this is where I think Sherman realises that Jack Johns might have eyes of 4th place if he gets it done quickly. There's a look at the pair of them. Sherman absolutely gripping the wheel tight as anything, wrestling it through. You look at the much different style of Jack Johns. Yeah, all right, I'll just flip it in here, flip it in there. Not really too much worry at all. Sits back, goes, right, okay, how do we set this up? This is what you see. Sherman looks like a driver under pressure. Jack Johns, what's pressure? Don't know it, not in my dictionary.
And look at the difference in their rigs as well. Just a round oval wheel for Werner Schoeman, and then Jack Johns has the Formula style rim. You can even see the lights reflecting on his TV screen right behind him, all the buttons on his wheel, and even a bit of the screen at the bottom end of it, what his perspective looks like as he's trying to chase down Werner Schoeman. A great fight that we're watching. He's got all the draft on these straightaways, and that's lovely when you're able to hang on to the toe of another driver and just understand you can be sort of carried through the straightaways entering these corners. But right now, Schoeman has the better edge through the Casino or the Casio Triangle, the chicane section. That's where Johns is going to try to gain a bit more time, try to hang that draft to turn 1.
That Astamo chicane once more proving to be the ally of Werner Schoeman for the moment. But this downhill launch, the difference in a straight line, I think is going to be really, really telling as they hit their marks. 261 in a straight line for Sherman. Jack Johns, by comparison, was able to hit 265. That's not much of a straight line grab there, KB. 4 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it does make a difference, though, when you get into all these corners, but again, Suzuka's so fast, so you do just have to keep that momentum high throughout, especially this part of the circuit and the S's, and this off-camera part can throw you around for a whirl if you don't hang tight to the red and white curbing there on the inside of the racetrack. I mean, it's giving him a bit of the advantage, but like we talked about, the hardest second to gain is that final second of the driver. I'd argue that also the half second is even harder to now find a way around the driver, especially at this track, knowing there are not many opportunities to make that pass and dive to the inside. He's not there yet momentum-wise.
No, so he's not quite in position. Jack Johns, the United Arab Emirates time attack champion. He's an Auto X champion as well, and he's done so as well very well as a stock Toyota Supra. He is an instructor as well. Talk about this for a bit of skill for Jack Johns. Instructor at Yas Marina and the Dubai Autodrome.
That's cool. I mean, that shows you've got impact and you've got experience at definitely very challenging circuits. Yas Marina and Dubai are 2 very different tracks. So that's cool. I mean, he has the driving experience in real life. And that's, again, the magic of this series in the Porsche Esports Supercup is that the drivers still just get a championship, but they're able to make it to the World Championship and be at the top stage. They get a chance to drive in real life with Porsche and have a chance to make a real-world motorsports career out of just humble beginnings in these regionals and the global open qualifiers that happen to get into these regionals. So I think it's fantastic that you do have a mix of that real-world experience, but almost anyone can have their chance of racing a Porsche car in real life just by getting through these stages.
Well, how much do you want it? We know that Werner Sherman is someone who is absolutely honoured to be able to even reach this stage here of the Regional Esports Championship. He said, look, I want to do the best I can to get to my top spot, and there is no one more that I need to thank to get to this position than the wife, of course. First things first, must thank the wife. I know that. I've got to look down at my left hand and go, yeah, got to thank the wife. First things foremost of everything. Got to thank the wife. He's got his priorities in order.
No, it's beautiful, though, to see the support from the partners and sometimes even families. And I've heard so many stories in series like these and in series across the iRacing service of people telling me in interviews, I want to thank my wife, I want to thank my partner, I want to thank my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa for watching and supporting me. I think it's beautiful when they rally around this hobby of ours that we can now make into a real-world career in motorsport and see the passion and support, not only from the drivers themselves, but the people around them and how they support their own drivers in these races. It's incredible.
It's truly magnificent, and finding that level again and again and again, seeing how sim racing connects around the world, how Porsche connects around the world. We talk about actually how important it is, Porsche's development in Africa. They've arguably got ownership of the greatest circuit in Africa in Kyalami.
They do. That's a great track. It's a beautiful track, and it's in South Africa, which is home to plenty of the drivers in this Middle East and Africa region. So I think that's really cool as well, the connection. And as well for this region, I know we don't have as many drivers as we do in some of the others, but they are still as talented as ever. And I think it's not only important to give the opportunities to some of the best talent in the Americas and in Europe and in the Asia-Pacific countries, but in some of these African and Middle Eastern countries that maybe don't get as much representation as some of the other regions do. So it's great that we get to put that on a spotlight. And if you want to learn more, the QR code is there. Try to get into the Porsche Esports Super Cup and maybe have your name be one of the few on the roster for World Championships in a few years.
Oh, heavy over the curb goes Jack Johns there at the first corner. He's really trying to square the line off and try and get anything he can. 3 minutes to go, and I think he's looking around at this here, KB, thinking, oh, I am close, I can touch it, I can taste it, but we're only on samples at the moment. He is not quite there to say, look, I'm ready to fully purchase.
If the best battle on track right now, Jake, and it's one of the best battles in the point standings, they are only 2 points apart in the 5th and 6th positions. That is close to the cut line, but any advantage they can get is an advantage regardless through these first 5 races of the regionals. And Jack Johns that last time was near another full 10 faster than Werner Schumann. So there is clear pace for Johns. He just hasn't found a way to put it in the right way to get around this 9 machine of Schumann, who's put a good defensive drive on, but he's just being in the right place at the right time at these defensive parts where there could be an offensive attack. It just hasn't been because Schumann's been that good at those portions of the circuit just to keep him at bay for a little longer.
I'll also put this in. They are pushed, well, Sherman is being pushed so hard right now. He's actually catching Ruslan Khamidulin, and that is another way he's going to hold his ground.
Yeah, and they've been faster than Ruslan for the last few laps now, so there is going to be a crossover point if there's enough time willing in this race for those two to eventually make that move. And then you ask if Werner Schumann cannot get around Khamidulin, is that an open door for Jack Johns? Can he take advantage if there's a mistake there? Or if you're Werner Schumann, do you stay behind Khamidulin and maybe risk gaining another position because you know the risk is going to be too high if you try to attack and then end up on the short end of the stick and have Jack Johns just squeeze in on the inside or the outside and make a move. Look at him just kind of fidgeting. He took a breath of relief there. Hard work to that final sector. Now he's got to lock it all in for the final minute.
Yeah, last lap then, and trying again, gets close on the outside, but it's not quite enough to go and get this sorted. Jack Johns is now all over the back of Werner Schumann, and this is going to be between these two of who wants 5th and who wants that P6, working through two-turn far, and now up over the top of the Yaku Bank corner. You've got to try and get down the other side and really run for it, up through the other side of the valley here at Nippon, and you've got to really run for those Degner right, which are just so jutting by comparison. Hit your marks. No one's put a foot wrong here in this race. And look again at how close Jack Johns gets. He gets close up. He's trying to scare through every corner, but I don't think he's got enough to say, look, I've got enough to go side by side. I think the big difference is that he again gets right up underneath the spoiler. It's all right to get underneath the spoiler, but you got to play spoiler if you want to go and get that next position. Jack Johns trying everything he possibly can and knowing how critical this move will be. Spoon's going to be the big key defense, I think. See whether a move's going to happen, and it's going to remain close. Keep an eye out then to the Astamo chicane, where Patrick Kessel is making his way to it right now, through the right, the left, and the right for Avesta Gabati, who sits behind. He has failed in round 2 to solve the Kessel conundrum. Patrick Kessel at the double. He is absolutely ace with that result. It's Gabati who's second. Allen is going to get third, but for fifth, it's to the outside. Oh, it's a big attempt. Jack Johns stealing a march through the final corners.
That's muscling out of the way. Jack Johns moves on through in the final corners at Suzuka. How about it? And I was about to mention a lovely final hairpin got him right to the back end of Showman for position. That's all you got to do. Push him out of the way, be physical, and move on through to the top 5. Lovely race.
A lovely race. Patrick Kessel, second time this season. He can sit back, savour his result, and hold with this Mobile 1 winning moment. Absolutely stellar driving by Patrick Kessel. Just built his margin, walked away, and understood that that was the job that he needed to do. No more, no less. It is just that he was able to go and hold as he went to. Trilux move of the race, though, coming up here, KB. It's really important to note that you just got to do everything you can in your wheelpower to get yourself clear and confident. And, well, what a way we see this final lap. Jack Johns, absolute brute force.
Set this up through the hairpin, kept his place in the spoon curve, and then on the backstretch, 130 yard. That's a hard corner to get right, but he gets just close enough to peek to the outside. He knows that the next corner is going to be in his favor, and he keeps to the inside, muscling out of the way, bumps Showman outside, and Jack Johns makes his move. That was a long time waiting for Jack Johns, patiently waiting for the time to execute, and he does so on the final lap.
Look, it's a question of, are you going to get that extra position, yes or no? And Jack Johns said, yeah, I absolutely am. Margin of victory after 30 minutes and 20 seconds, 5.3 at the end of the line over Avesta Gabati for Patrick Kessel. Dylan Allen will end up finishing third ahead of Ruslan Hamidulin there with a quiet run in that fourth place. Jack Johns, as late as you could possibly leave it, gets it done over Werner Schoenmann there in sixth place, as Shivesh Bassoon would be seventh, and a quiet finish to eighth for Oliver Heasley, rounding out your field. No Mehdi El Fati, for example, here today. He's missed round 2 of the championship and knows that he's got a lot to do. So too Mohammed Al-Rustam, who will be looking out at that going, yeah, I've got a little bit more work to do. Kenneth Bino, though, down in the virtual paddock, has himself with the driver who has won this second race overall, Patrick Kessel.
Patrick Kessel, what a drive this was. And I think a little more stress-free for you versus Fuji in round number 1. It was a perfect pole lap, and you just kept yourself at the front for the race. What worked for you here at Suzuka to just have a calm Saturday drive for the win?
Well, I mean, it helped this time that I put actually a little bit of practice in, but probably just with the heat of the track was just like chilling throughout the race. Tires can overheat very quickly if you make one mistake, and I just kind of realized that very early on, and yeah, just chilled a little bit, not pushing too hard once I had a gap, and that just helped maintain consistency throughout the half an hour.
Undefeated through the first 2 races here in the Middle East and Africa regionals for the Porsche Esports Super Cup. How momentous has it felt for you confidence-wise as we move into Adelaide and the halfway point of the schedule?
Oh, I mean, confidence is there. These 2 tracks are new. I still have to buy Adelaide as a track, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, good that I'm finally getting a rhythm in this car, not having driven it before the Porsche Esports Super Cup, really. But yeah, it feels good.
Well, Patrick, a great win, a perfect showing here at Suzuka. Congratulations on the back-to-back victories, and we'll see you and the field at Adelaide in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Patrick Kessel wins again, and he wins from Suzuka. We're now joined by the driver with the Trilux move of the race, Jack Johns. Jack, you were planning that move for a while, and it worked in the final chicane. Tell us your perspective trying to catch Werner Schoeman and how it all worked out.
Yeah, man, it was, I don't know what to say because everyone was so consistent ahead. That Suzuka is one of those tracks where the track sort of bites more than the other cars on the circuit, so I was actually hoping to capitalize more from the front guys having a bit of something going on, but nothing really happened. I think Werner we were swapping lap times for most of the race. Just closing in tenths at a time, putting the pressure on at the end. I think I had a little bit more tyre left. Even Ruslan looked like he had a mistake towards the end there. But yeah, I don't know. I was the closest I was all race going towards that chicane, and before I knew it, I looked to my left. The 150 board's already come past me, and I was like, "Oh, I should probably brake now." And then we were alongside. I was like, "Okay, we're in it now."
It all works out. You make the move of the race for top 5, and you continue to move up little by little in the point standings for the top 8. How important is this finish going to be as you move into Adelaide, halfway point of the schedule, and what you expect to see from the track in Australia in a few weeks?
Oh yeah, I mean Adelaide's going to be another tricky one, to be honest. There's obviously the turn 1 section is high risk, high reward with the tyre wall on the inside and cutting the chicane. Not sure what to expect, to be honest. I think it's after today. I think everyone was a lot more consistent than I expected. So I think that's going to continue with the high level of standard of these drivers. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, I can pick up something.
Well, it should be a lot of fun, Jack. Congratulations on the top 5 finish and the Trilux move of the race, and we'll see you in the field at Adelaide in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much.
Jack Johns, move of the race, great drive. And now we get the other side of it all. Werner Schoeman, who was playing a defensive drive in the last portion of the race and then just lost out on the spot. But Werner, I mean, still a strong drive. What did you see there as Jack Johns was hounding behind you, trying to make the pass, and how that final lap went for you?
Yeah, look, I was expecting the move, for sure. Yeah, if it was fair, I don't know. We'll see. I'll take a few looks at it, as he did hit me over the curb and then I lost control of the car. But yeah, no, it was fun. Suzuka, probably my worst track for this whole season. I didn't expect much. I wanted to at least have a little bit of racing, and yeah, Jack gave that to me. So all is fair. But yeah, looking forward to the next few rounds.
And our next round is on the streets of Adelaide, so we know that's probably the most narrow circuit on the regional calendar for you guys. What do you see out of Adelaide, and maybe some things you're going to try to take into that race to be one of the contenders for the win?
Yeah, look, I think next round is going to probably be my strongest round. I am very much a street circuit guy. I like all the thin tracks, walls very close to each other. So one mistake means you are in the wall and out. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm going to definitely try for that podium spot.
Well, a solid finish today at Suzuka, all things considered. Congratulations on the top 5, Werner, and we'll see you at Adelaide in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's take a look at where we are, and Patrick Kessel on 118 holds the margin, but the margin cut is 10 now with no Mehdi El Fati, so this is going to be a case of Mehdi now is going to have a bit of work to do. So for Oliver Heasley, for Shivesh Bassoon, the 10 points that they've both had, they'll be turning around, they'll be looking at that going, is that safe, and is this going to be a game between them of one-upmanship of, well, basically, who do we leave on the bubble?
Well, the different storyline here in this regional is because we only have 10 drivers. That doesn't mean it's not competitive, because all 10 drivers in any given race are going to gain points. There is no point scenario for the drivers unless there are penalties involved, but there haven't been. Everyone has put on good racing. Oliver Heasley, he finished 8th. I mean, he wasn't really too much the talk of the town in Suzuka, but he came in for the points, and he escapes with points that gets him above that cut line. So that's important. That's what you look for in these fields of only 10 cars, where it's still relatively competitive, and any gain is a good one.
Yeah, but you got to consider where they're going next time out as well here, KB, because Adelaide, oh my goodness, what a track Adelaide is. This is a circuit that tests the very limit of what driving is all about, especially that first chicane. I think Slowdown Central runs through the heart of South Australia.
It does. High curbs, high intensity, a narrow track surface with walls all around, and high speed, low speed corners. Adelaide has it all. It's the only street circuit on the schedule that we have in the middle of it all. Asia Pacific is also going to encounter it once they are done with Suzuka. So with 2 races down, the halfway mark is going to bring us a fantastic showing at the streets.
And while we do return to Suzuka with the Asia Pacific group, Europe will have itself a very interesting battle as they head to the circuit dinner there, Magny-Cours, right in the middle of the French countryside. In about a week's time, the Tour de France will find itself in Magny-Cours, believe it or not, as they will have a start from that fabled circuit. So there is going to be so much great sporting heritage that goes around France and around Suzuka, and you want to catch it here with us with the Porsche Esports Super Cup here on iRacing. But I think it has to be said here today that it's all about giving everything that you possibly can and then some out there. While you look at Ave Gabadi, he is someone who can always go up to a level and say, right, I want to go and raise the bar and find it. Patrick Kessel has gone, right, I've got even more. I can go put it exactly where I need to. When you look over at Americas, it's all about the who's who of could hold on, but the big key, it was Mitchell de Jong, who once again proved he was top dollar, top bill out there. So much more amazing action to come in the Porsche Esports Super Cup Regional Qualifiers. We'll see you with more in 7 days' time as Europe and Asia Pacific head to their second rounds.